Sam.
Hello, Alasdair.
How are you, my darling?
I'm good. I'm very happy because I'm right next to you.
Oh, you're very close to me once again.
I know.
Gather around the mic.
We're doing an in-person pod, which I'm excited for.
I'm excited as well. It's been a long time since we've done it. We had a nice in-person day hanging out yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We meant to see Joker 2, and
that didn't go very well.
And beforehand, one of our group had raised, should we book tickets? And we were like, no, the reviews are awful. We won't need that.
And what's even bad is that it was the person who was raising these concerns who made the event. He was like, I really want to go see Joker 2.
He really wanted to see it. And we got there and it was like 5 tickets to Joker 2, please. And they said, okay, first of all, there's only 4. Second of all, none of them are together. We're like, that's fine. What about 9:30? So there are 5. They're not together. We're like, right. And did we ask about the substance?
I think we asked about the substance because we don't see the substance, but I think that was fully booked as well. And we kind of were like, well, if we have to see Joker 2, if we have to put ourselves through that, we're not going to do it sat next to strangers.
No, I think you need to do it as a group. So, so we went home because we'd already had a couple of drinks and we watched Scary Movie 2.
Yeah. It was a really nice night. It was a really nice impromptu chill night in. And then at the time, my work's a bit manic at the moment. I was like, listen here, girlie. I'm working late all weekdays. Can you record tomorrow? And you just looked at me dead in the eyes and you were like, absolutely.
Absolutely. It's quite nice to do this because also we're a bit more peppy and awake, I think, on a Sunday than 10 p.m. on a Monday night.
Well, we've just been so looked after. I've come to your new flat, which is lovely.
Yeah.
Your boyfriend's cooked us a delicious meal.
Yes. We're in the living room and we're missing a few bits of furniture still. So if you can hear a bit of an echo around us, I can hear, then that's what that is. What's the space they go into in this story that we're watching today?
Oh my goodness. So they go into the Solitract realm.
Into the Solitract's realm.
The Solitract plane.
Sorry, the Solitract's plane, where it's a big, white, bright, empty space. That's sort of... Imagine that's where we are, and it actually adds a little something to this commentary.
Exactly. A little context for this episode in particular. It's a lot of stuff behind the scenes of making a podcast, and we've given ourselves this challenge to see if we can do a full episode because we're in person and we were like, you know what, this can be so easy to edit. We were like, let's try and do a full episode with no cuts. So if we mess up, we're just going to carry on.
I think an average episode probably has like, how many cuts would you say?
Oh, I would easily...
100, 150?
More. I would like, for an hour episode, at least when I'm editing, I would say up to 200 cuts.
I think it's because the cuts will start coming when I try and moderate opinions where I don't want to wind anyone up. And then I'll be like, wait, let me say that again. So I'm going to have to speak really slowly through certain points I'm thinking.
You could also just
Or be a little unfiltered, I guess. You know, we get quite limited upset.
We were talking about this earlier. We were like, nobody comes to Wholala for deep philosophical... Oh, I messed up, but I'm carrying on.
No.
For deep philosophical debate. No one comes here for that, darling. People come here for silly yapping and besties talk about Doctor Who.
That is what they come for. And not to be informed either.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're looking for sort of the Doctor Who mag deep dive, subscribe to Doctor Who magazine.
Exactly. Beth Axford of famed Doctor Who magazine. She's recently written a book. We had her on the pod last week. Go check out Doctor Who magazine if you want the deep facts. But otherwise, if you want some fun facts and chat, especially about this episode. So we kind of, as you can see from the title, we're talking about It Takes You Away. And we came to this because we were like, right, okay, we're going into October, ooky spooky season. What do we want to talk about? And we were like, oh, we could do episodes about werewolves, vampires. Can you walk me through how we ended up here? Because I can't remember.
I don't know. This didn't really... It has an imagined scary monster in it, but there isn't... I guess we meet one alien who's a bit sus in this, but we don't really have a spooky monster in this one. It's no more scary, I think, than a regular episode of Who, is it?
It isn't. And I was excited to go dive into this one because as I've been so open about this on the pod, but people are always like, wait, what? I have not seen every episode of Jodie's era. And this is the first time, and I've been saying on the pod before, I've been excited to watch one that I've not seen before. This is the first time we're watching an episode where I am watching it for the first Time. Can you believe?
Yeah, so I don't know how we ended up at this one specifically. I think we went in circles and we were like, should we watch the Halloween Apocalypse? Should we watch, what other one did we suggest?
We were saying Tooth and Claw, Blink. We were saying about vampires.
Blink felt too obvious somehow. Halloween-y stories. And then we realised that we've been a bit lax on visiting Jodie's era, and we've given a lot of love to pretty much everyone else's.
We've been in a big Peter Capaldi fair. Every episode for the last month, for the last 4 weeks, has been Peter Capaldi, I think.
Yeah. So we thought, time to go back there. And we were flicking through, and I said, well, actually, I really like this one because a lot of people felt the ending was silly from memory. And I really, really liked the story. And I was like, oh, this is one I can talk about. And you haven't seen it, so that's quite fun.
Yeah. I remember when we were talking about this earlier, I was saying that all I knew is that it was set somewhere Scandi, there was a space frog, and that was literally all I knew.
It's so Scandi, such Scandi design. Like when I think of, I've got lovely Scandinavisk reed diffuser over there. And it just, that's what I think of. I think of Scandi design. I think of the lovely log cabin in this one.
Yeah.
The beautiful shot you'll see in this. There's a really nice bookcase in the kitchen in this house. And I thought, I'd love that bookcase.
It's really, I want to know if it was an entire set or if there was a house that just was designed. My instinct tells me it was probably a set. But I want to know if there was a house design like that because I want to know what that is. I want to go there.
Isn't it great that we don't know?
I know, right?
That says really good things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But isn't that nice that we can't tell?
Yeah, exactly.
I think we'll get into it, but I do think the story looks fantastic as well.
But I mean, again, we'll talk about it, but that is just like the entirety of Jodie's era. I think it's such a beautiful era. It's shot beautifully. There's stuff they do with, you know what? We'll get into it.
Oh, I don't want to spoil it.
I don't want to spoil my appetite. So as we said, we are talking about It Takes You Away today. The original air date for this episode was the 2nd of December 2018, written by Ed Heim. It was directed by Jamie Catchpole-Child with a viewership of 6.42 million and an IMDb score of 6.3 out of 10.
I think
mid.
We've said like IMDb scores, they get review bombed, particularly this era. So they're not the greatest objective.
Do you know what?
Ranking.
It's really sad. So we have this like sheet where we go through all of the episodes and we have the IMDb score. And I think you set this. It's color coded depending on what the score is. So if it's high, it's green. If it's low, it's red. And if you go through, it's green. There's some yellow, some amber. But then once you get to Jodie's era, it's only like exclusively reds and oranges.
Yeah, which is unfair.
Completely unfair. So yeah, IMDb might not be the best sort of barometer for this one.
No. And we were saying as well, a lot of people we know were really active in like Doctor Who fandom and on Doctor Who Twitter at this time. And we were just not present in that. I was watching it. You weren't watching it every week. I was still watching it every week. My sister was a really, really big fan of this era. And I was enjoying it as well, but I wasn't active online in any discussions or debates or breakdowns of the episodes, really.
Yeah, no, people say to me all the time, they're like, oh, do you remember? Because also Doctor Who Twitter was big here. It wasn't just that like people were talking about it. It was specifically Doctor Who Twitter, which I think is such a unique entity. And people ask me all the time, they're like, oh, do you remember like during Jodie's era when like, especially in season 11, season 12, people thought that like this was going to happen or that. And I'm like, darling, no, I don't.
Darling, no, I don't remember that too much. I'm so sorry.
I don't remember.
But actually being outside of it was interesting because I think by the time we got to the Timeless Child stories, I had pretty much zero commentary happening apart from my own on Twitter.
Well, this is the thing.
And I was just speaking to the wall saying, that was fun. That was a good idea. I loved it. And I think like I had 3 likes on that and I heard no more about it.
And you're like, great.
That was all. And, I think, I don't know how I absorbed any of the discourse around that. I'm sure I picked up eventually that it was an unpopular thread.
I came back, I think, discourse-wise, I came back around Timeless Child.
Right.
That was when I really kept near to the ground and was like, ooh.
People don't like this. People don't like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, should we dive into the story?
Let's dive in now. As we always say, go on iPlayer. It's there. You can watch it. Sorry if you're international. Where can you watch it if it's international? Is it like Stars or something? I don't know.
Get DVD player, I think. Probably for this one.
Check your Blu-ray in. Well...
Or yo-ho-ho. Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of piracy.
But if you can watch the episode, jump on, give it a look. But if you would like a quick recap of the story, here you go. And again,
here we go.
We're doing it in one take. Let's go.
No cuts. This is where we always have some fumbles. Here we go. The TARDIS lands in a forest where Graham, Ryan, and Yaz are taking in the view. The Doctor crouches on the ground, the ground, tastes some grass and informs them they're in Norway. A quick scan of a nearby sheep reveals it's 2018, and the Doctor reassures her companions that the woolly rebellion, when sheep will rebel against humans, won't happen for another 193 years. As they explore, Graham spots a mysterious cabin in the distance, and the Doctor decides to investigate.
When they reach the cabin, it's all boarded up and Ryan sees movement through a gap in the window. Inside, they find signs that someone was there recently, including a meal left out and shoes suggesting that it could be a child. After some searching, Ryan opens up a wardrobe to find a terrified girl named Hannah hiding inside. She reveals that her father Eric disappeared 4 days ago, taken by a monster. The Doctor and her friends begin to suspect that something strange is happening.
As the Doctor investigates further, she discovers a mirror that doesn't show their reflection. Upon scanning it, she discovers that it's a portal to another dimension. The Doctor instructs Ryan to stay behind and protect Hannah, while she steps through the mirror with Graham and Yaz. They enter a bizarre cave system and meet a strange creature called Ribbons, who leads them deeper into this alternate realm. Ribbons turns on them, but not before he is devoured by flesh-eating moths. Oops.
Ruh-roh. Back in the real world, Ryan discovers a terrifying monster that Hannah mentioned earlier is actually fake, created by Eric to keep her from following him into the mirror world. Furious, Hannah knocks Ryan out and steps through the portal herself, determined to find her father. Meanwhile, in the mirror world, the Doctor and the team discover that Eric is living with a version of Hannah's late mother, Trine, recreated by the dimension itself. Graham, too, is faced with the doppelganger of his late wife, Grace, but ultimately realises that she's not real.
The Doctor explains that this world is created by the Solitract, a sentient entity banished from the universe because its existence was incompatible with reality. It's not evil, just lonely, and it's created this false world to trap Eric and Graham with the people they've lost, forms they won't reject. In the end, the Doctor convinces the Solitract to let them all go, assuring it that she'll always remember it fondly. The entity takes the form of a talking frog before bidding the Doctor farewell and collapsing the mirror universe.
Back in the real world, Eric decides to move with Hannah back to Oslo, finally coming to terms with the loss of his wife. Meanwhile, Ryan and Graham share a heartfelt moment, with Ryan finally calling Graham Grandad, solidifying their bond as they return to the TARDIS for their next adventure.
Oh, we did all right there. There was a few stumbles.
I think we were fine. I think there was a sentiment instead of a sentient, but we're good.
Did I say a sentiment creature? Yeah, I probably did. There's a few things. A sentient entity is quite a tongue twister
There's
as well.
There's a lot of T's in there.
For someone with a lisp as well. You know what someone said to me recently? They said, oh, you really remind me of my friend. They were like, yeah, because you have that lisp.
And you like, what?
Pun? Like, yeah, you have that, like that, like you got a cute lisp. Like, oh, yeah, but they were actually, I think they were, I don't know if they were trying to be nice per se, but I don't think they meant anything.
They were like,
by
no, endearing.
Like, oh, it's sweet. Oh, it's so sweet. And I was like, ooh, oh. Well, I'm really aware of that now. So
thank you for my next hyperfixation about myself.
Thank you so much for one new thing that I hate.
Oh, goodness. Well, look, we'll dive into our thoughts of the episode in a second. Before we do, we reach out to our X-Cant to ask what you guys thought of the episode, and here is what some of you had to say.
All right. Sam
Razzle dazzle.
No, Sam Radziwill said, I love this episode. It's probably the most 80s modern Who has gotten. It makes almost no sense, and it's incredibly camp. That said, I was a huge Grace fan, so it was bittersweet to see her back again. I thought this made quite a lot of sense, this one. I mean, it's a very abstract concept.
It took me... I did get there, but the bit when the Doctor's explaining, like, right, so this and that and that, I was like, what? Like, struggling to follow it.
Yeah. I think it's hard to get until she's kind of in it and people are getting banished from it. But I think the metaphor of, like, two universes separated by this, like... What's
barrier.
It called? What's the barrier world called?
The other world.
The anti-zone or something. I kind of got that.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Cooper Hillier says, peak is the only way to describe it.
Okay. Ethan, a friend of the pod, said, possibly my favourite episode of season 11, a beautiful exploration of grief with some of the best character exploration for Graham and some of Jodie's finest performances as the Doctor. You can really feel her carrying 2,000 years of wisdom and experience when reasoning with the Solitract.
Yeah, you can. You really can. Luke says, the high point of season 11, maybe the best episode of the whole era. Stylishly slick, great character work for Graham and Ryan. None for Yaz, unfortunately, but that's not atypical. A genuine original concept for the show and a twist at the end. Well, there's always a twist. Loses points for the deleted scene. I want to know, because Louis tweeted about this as well. Can we watch this deleted scene anywhere?
No, I just looked for it on YouTube. I don't think it exists.
I don't know if it exists.
Let me just quickly, one more look. It takes you.
I'm going to quickly read Louis' tweet because he was saying
while I
about this.
Google. Go on.
Louis was reacting to me saying I'd not seen it. He went, first, are you sure this is a Doctor Who podcast? I jest. This episode has the show's strongest concept and very strong cast. Peak Doctor Who. Also, justice to the deleted scene with this long snoot fella monster. And it's this picture of like Nunu. It's Nunu from the Teletubbies if he was in Heaven Sent.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing this picture. So, how do I describe it? It's like a bald, spindly
Anteater.
Yeah, he's really freaky looking, isn't he? He's got this long, ragged cloak.
It's if the veil from Heaven Sent was wearing black and had the face of an anteater with no eyes.
So here we go. Reddit comes in handy here. From memory, one of the Doctor Who magazine making-ofs went into more detail. The creature was known as Spindleman. I recall that much.
Oh, it's a Slender Man thing, isn't it?
Oh, okay. I also got the impression that it liked the dark. It does look a bit mole-like. It does look like a mole, doesn't it?
I see that.
And also got the sense of a certain slightly obscure line in the episode, the idea that even though the flesh moths were attracted to the light of Ribbon's lamp, you needed the lamps because the dark is worse. So I think the Spindle Man would have attacked Ryan and Hannah when their lamp went out or something along those lines.
I don't think the episode needed a third thing. If I'm honest, I don't think the episode needed ribbons other than to show that like the moths eat people. But I feel like you did that with Ryan walking past the skeleton. I don't know.
This is so interesting. I'm sorry, these aren't people who've contributed to the pod, but someone said they actually feel that this story suffers from not being a two-parter because there's no two-parters in this series.
Yeah.
And they wish that they'd given the script more space to fully shine over 2 episodes. And someone else simply says, its face looking like a foreskin didn't help, I expect.
I mean, it's true. It doesn't not. It doesn't not.
A little. I mean, maybe get that checked.
I feel like they could have... Well, I'll tell you what, I want to dive into my thoughts. Do a couple more tweets.
All right. More tweets.
You do one.
Did we already do this one? Yes, we did. Matt said... at Matt_the Whovian. Second favourite episode of season 11. It's very inspired by Douglas Adams and gives you plenty to think about alongside wonderful character moments. It is a bit Douglas Adams. I love Douglas Adams and the way he writes. I really see that actually. And I think that's probably why I'm actually quite attracted to the idea of the Solitract.
Yeah, I see that. And finally, Hamish, friend of the pod, says, I think it has bags of style and a great vibe, really builds the tension nicely and love the subtle way the mirror is shot. But the dad is super abusive and I don't feel he deserves the redemption that he gets at all. Still, I can't hate an episode with a talking frog.
Yeah.
We were saying that, like, it's super brushed off, but like,
the dad is awful.
Like,
the dad is a real villain. They really should take away Hannah from that dad.
Really, they're like, what are you going to do?
They find
now?
him and then he's like, oh, Hannah's fine. I thought.
There's food in the freezer.
Food in the freezer. I thought that the dad was going to be like, oh, I've only been gone 12 hours. And they're like, no.
I know, I've stayed longer than I should have, but I've only been here half an hour.
Yeah, they'd be like, no, it's been 4 days. But he's like, there's food in the freezer. And I've set up the speakers so she thinks there's a monster outside every day on the hour.
I'm like, that's awful.
That's bad. Like, she thinks you're dead, my love.
Not good, mama. Not good, mama. Well, diving into our thoughts, I feel like this has such a strong concept, and okay, from a fresh viewer, my overall thoughts, I'm not looking at my notes here, this is just me thinking off the cuff.
Speak.
Really, really liked this episode. I thought it was a really, really, really good episode. I think it's a great, like, you know, sometimes you come off the back of an episode and we're like, oh, that was an episode of Doctor Who. I'm not here to say, like, this was the best. I'm not here to say whatever. I'm saying, like, oh, that felt like a real episode of Doctor Who. I love that it introduced, like, an original concept. I do agree with that it could have been a 2-parter. I can imagine, like, the Grace reveal along with, like, Ryan being trapped in the other world. Like, that could have been the cliffhanger. Something I feel like this episode really needed was something to tie the Doctor and to tempt the Doctor. Like, it could have been a really good shot. I know they wanted to, like, do a soft reboot, but it would have been a really good opportunity to see, maybe I'm thinking like a River, or maybe someone even like a Susan or something from the Doctor's past. I don't know. I think that they needed something to have the Doctor there, but with the time they had with one episode, I don't necessarily think it needed that.
Yeah, it would have made sense, wouldn't it, if at the very end the Solitract had tried to, like, tempt the Doctor into staying. Because the Doctor gets out of it quite easily. And she's like, oh, looks like I'm stuck here forever. And then it's immediately obvious that she has to leave and can't even sympathetically stay. and the world is quite imminently still collapsing.
Yeah.
But maybe that'd be explored in a two-parter. But you're right. I guess a clean break doesn't allow for you to bring back like Clara's back.
Yeah.
Remember her?
Yeah.
It's not going to work. And Rose is far too far gone by this point.
If this was like a Capaldi episode, I think they definitely would have brought back River or Clara or potentially Amy. I never really think of like 12 and Amy. That's an interesting
That's
mix.
a really interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, times like this, I miss Amy.
Sometimes I miss Amy. One thing that I find interesting, I guess it's retrospectively, I don't really know how far ahead that Chibnall was planning with this. I know this episode wasn't written by Chibnall, but this ties in really nicely with the Timeless Child, where maybe the reason the Doctor wasn't shown a temptation is because they're pulling from like the sister universe. Like I think the whole point of the Solitract was that they were there like before the Big Bang and they had to be exiled so the universe could start. So like it's still from the same universe as ours, which is why I can copy it and pull all these people. And the Doctor isn't necessarily from our universe, so they can't pull experiences from the Doctor in the same way they can with other people. So I don't know if that's the intention, but I do like that that's one way you could look at it.
Yeah. There was a lot that I really liked about this story. Ignoring my notes, which just say nice Scandi furniture in this house. I'll start with this. People were talking about it being a stylish episode, and I do think it was really gorgeous and atmospheric. Did we find out where they filmed this one?
No.
Oh, let's have a little look on the
Let's
internet. Should we put in our guesses? I don't think it was Wales. I bet they left Wales.
They weren't filming any of this in Wales, were they? It was all in Yorkshire, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? Oh, no.
No.
I think they did some of it.
Wait, this is what you get without an edited episode of Wholala. You're getting real behind the scenes here.
It's episode 99. We're allowed to do this.
It was
Wales.
It was Wales.
Yeah.
A comfier forest on a hill in Wales is shown in the publicity still during the filming of It Takes You Away. The background scenery was changed in post-production. I said this. We were like, oh, I reckon this is real, I reckon this whatever. And I was like, the woods are real, but it's very clear to my eye that the view of like the fjords was composited.
How interesting. I was quite sold, but I think that says a lot about the quality of the effects because we were also, just saying then at the start, like it's not obvious. Is it a house or is it a set?
No, and that is really good because I hate when we were talking about this with Trap Street, where like they're on the lovely outdoors filming in Cardiff, pretending it's London, and then all of a sudden they go into Trap Street and it's so clearly a set. I like not being able to tell.
Yeah, I think this episode looks great. It looks like really prestige TV. I don't think there's really been any significant... this is really controversial. I don't know if they've had a significant uplift in the look of the show since the Disney investment, particularly.
I think that with the Disney partnership, there's a lot of bringing Doctor Who back to like early noughties. And I think that the cinematic style that they chose to go with in this era was so unique to this era that I love how the new series looks. I think it's amazing, but it's not the same. I'm not getting the same.
It's a different style, isn't it? I feel like a lot of that money is like on like extras. Obviously, we've had big musical numbers,
CGI,
really big sets like the unit set, marketing. Did I already say marketing? Definitely marketing.
This episode doesn't really have. I mean, I'm sure there's CGI is done really well when it's like hidden CGI, like how we were saying about the background, but I don't feel like, other than like the effect of when they're going in and out of the mirror dimension, that there is tons of CG.
The moths are good.
The moths are good, and also I think some of them are like obviously when they're all swarming, they're CG, but like when it's like an individual moth on the balloon, I think that's practical.
But you don't know.
That's
what I'm saying. I think they do it in a way in this series very consistently that the effects just look really pretty. There's that, who does the show reel for the series? It looks fantastic.
It does look really. I'm not going to remember. Thomas something.
We talked about it in the Power of the Doctor episode.
We did talk about the Power of the Doctor episode,
and they worked on a lot of Doctor Who in this era, and I feel like they've now stepped away from it. Or if they do still work on it,
I don't know if they were invited back. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. John Smith, which I
don't think is their real name. It's on YouTube, but they've done a show reel on their YouTube, and a lot of their work is from this era. I think they started working on it. Or the show reel begins with
Twice Upon a Time
at the end of Capaldi's era, and their work looks really, really good. And the titles are gorgeous in this as well.
Yeah. No, this I actually had this as one of my notes. I just said I love this era's theme and I love the visuals for the title sequence. It's so Hartnell, and the theme itself, Sagan's theme, is so earthy and
Spooky
spacey and spooky and like
weird,
real
alien. And,
like I really like it.
It's got the mystery vibes and
It does.
the haunting element to it that I think the modern one very much leans into adventure, upbeat, here we go. Da-da-da. And
this one has a lot more like intrigue to it.
It goes back to the classic style.
Oh, but that was also like a very conscious decision to say that
Yes.
he wanted to go back to like the Philharmonic Orchestra and like that kind of vibe.
Yes.
Yeah. In Jodie's era, but especially in this episode, I find it's an interesting mix with her dialogue. Of some of it I love where she's like, oh yeah, this is definitely Norway. You know, I was gonna say it's definitely Cardiff.
Definitely Cardiff.
Definitely Norway. And the Woolly Rebellion, I loved the like whole throwaway of like, oh sorry, Woolly Rebellion, like that's not coming for a bit.
Yeah.
But then sometimes when she's talking, it's a little bit like, right, okay, here's this, there's that. And you made a really good comment about how it almost sounds like it's written like an audio drama
Like an audiobook.
times.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. There's parts of this that are done really well. So I'm not dunking on like the dialogue per se or the acting. That's not what I mean. But there's a part in particular that highlighted the like spoken like an audiobook bit, which is, I need to get this open and get Graham and Eric out of here. Oh, it won't budge. It must be controlled by the Solitract. Oh, and I can't force it with a sonic like before because it's clever and it's adapting. Like, that could be an audio drama.
Yeah.
You're describing everything we're looking at. Like,
Show, don't tell.
show, don't tell.
Yeah. It's a weird mix because like sometimes I love it and sometimes, and this is true with all Doctors. This isn't just Jodie, but I think it's more. I noticed it more in this episode that like, you know, the Doctor always has like tech talk and they're always talking through what they're doing, and it's meant to be kind of, I guess, for both the audience and the companions' benefit. But it toes the line in a way that I'm not sure I love at points.
There's a contrast because we've just watched Hellbent and Heaven Sent, and one of my favorite bits of Hellbent is that there are moments where you see how fast the Doctor thinks, and it really underlines this is an alien. He does not work like you work.
Yeah.
And he's like, steps into his TARDIS, and he's like, this is in my mind. I'm thinking out loud right now. Like, I've got 0.3 seconds till I hit the water, and then he does all the maths, and he talks it all through, and it's clear that that's like how quick he's thinking, is that he has time to have kind of a cocky conversation in his own mind with himself, pretending he's talking to Clara, before he even hits the water. And in this one, there's a little bit of a slow kind of like, and why that? And why would this be going on? Oh, I can't work it out. And also, why is that there? And oh, I need to, oh, hold on, that's bad news. Quick. You know, it's like, it's all, I like preference. The sense that the Doctor is sometimes a little bit of a manipulator. The Doctor is always a little bit ahead of everyone else in the room, and the Doctor knows something you don't know.
Yeah.
And there's, I think in this story, I feel like you're kind of working it out with the Doctor, and I sometimes like when the Doctor's kind of a little bit ahead.
I like when it's almost like some of my favorite Doctor is when the Doctor has worked out the plan but doesn't even tell the companions they've worked out the plan because they hope they're not right.
But they're testing their theory.
Still. One thing that I really loved in this episode is obviously Hannah, the character, is blind, and the Doctor writes on the wall, assume her dad is dead.
Yes.
Because she knows that she won't be able to read it. And that's an example where I love of that, where the Doctor's thinking 3 steps ahead and they're like, right, okay, so we're all going to, I'm trying to get you all on the same page as me with this, and we're going to act accordingly. And that I love. I
really like that. Because it was like, the Doctor's been all warm and soft and, oh, Hannah, oh, really sorry, been here by yourself. Oh, you know, gentle social worker.
I love you just describe it like that.
And then scribbles on the wall, kind of like, assume the dad is dead. And it was like a little cold flash of, it's still the Capaldi Doctor that preceded this inside. Like someone who can still see it for what it is. And despite this very like rosy,
blossomiest blossom,
soft exterior, like within there's still someone who is like, appreciating a dark situation for what it is.
Yeah.
And still calculating things in those terms. So I really liked that.
Yeah. No, I really love that bit too. I think that when they're going into the house at the beginning, one of my notes was just like, well, actually, when they landed in Norway, I was like, why are they there? I feel like we were missing out a line like, Doctor, we're meant to be in Space Marbella. Like, you know what I mean? But then when they get to a house, like, I don't know, we were watching part of this with your boyfriend, and I said, well, why are they breaking into the house? And he was like, well, isn't that kind of like what the Doctor does in every episode? And I was like, so true, bestie.
So true.
That is correct.
So
there's
true.
something about it being like present day Earth and just someone's house.
It definitely felt like they'd already hit the random button, but we'd missed that part.
Yeah.
And they'd been like, Norway, who wants to go to Norway? And there should have maybe been 5 minutes from the TARDIS of, why not? Norway, brilliant. Step out. Who wants to see a fjord? I've never seen a fjord, you know. And then they step out and they go, yeah, definitely Norway. Tastes like Norway.
Yeah.
And then, ooh, now that's a mystery. Like,
Yeah.
that's not right. What's not right over there? Like, oh, it's really cold, but you know, there's no smoke. Someone's not got the fire on. Da-da-da-da-da. All boarded up. Like, you think what I'm thinking. Like, oh, and then Copper's Hunch. But, you know.
Oh, yeah. No, it does lean to that mystery, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was an interesting comment someone made as well, to go on a bit of a tangent there, about feeling that Yaz's character was neglected in this one. I actually felt that Yaz was one of the characters who had the most consistent writing. I think she was written with it strictly in mind that she is a trained copper.
Yeah.
And she was approaching things and noticing things, going, child lives here. And, you know, no, you need to speak to them in this way.
I
And
did like that.
I thought, you know, it wasn't heavy-handed, but it was just written with an angle of she's approaching things this way because you're trying to put together the clues. Yaz is qualified actually to do this in a professional way. And I felt that. I felt it was probably Graham's character. Not Graham. I don't think Graham. I love Graham.
Ryan.
Not that I don't love Ryan. Okay. No cuts.
To interject with, I'll talk about Yaz for a second, then we'll circle around.
Yes.
I completely agree with you that I think that, well, I agree with two things. I do agree with the person who said that she's underused in this, and I feel like that is something consistent up until arguably Flux, that she's underutilized. But I like what you were saying about how the subtle ways that they're trying to show the character in the background that she has is why she behaves as she does. So, like, I like the bit, it's a comparison between Ryan, who, you know, he's training to be a mechanic. He's not trained to be doing this kind of stuff. And he jumps in emotionally. He's bringing his personal experiences to it. And he's like sort of snapping. I wrote, like, why is he being such a twat to this girl?
He was horrible.
Because he's being really nasty and just like, oh, your dad probably did run up. Come on. She's probably lying. And she has to kind of, Yaz has to be like, okay, no, what I think Ryan meant was, and like rephrase that in the terms that a child who's just lost their father would understand. Yeah. So in that way, I like how she's written in this episode, but I do agree that she is underutilized.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like 3 is too many, basically.
Yeah.
That it's not that I want either one of them not there. Like, I really enjoy Graham. I really like Graham. I really like Yaz. And Ryan's there too. And no. But I just sometimes it felt like they so much like they take their turn, like in such a like, what's that? Big house in the distance. Stop. I don't know. This is the point of just like 3 feels a crowd at times.
What I find with this TARDIS team sometimes is, I completely agree with you that sometimes I feel like it's not natural dialogue instead they're waiting to take their turn. But especially with this episode, what I would ask is, what is the benefit of having both Ryan and Graham in this story when you could have swapped one of them out and had the other play that role? Because if Ryan had seen his gran, you would have had the emotional moment about, oh, I want to stay with her, I want to bring her with me. When you have Graham with her, you have the emotional moment of, I want to stay her with her or bring her with me. I don't think having Ryan bring Hannah through, because Hannah could have like stayed with Yaz, because Yaz wasn't as involved. Like, Yaz is always sort of siding with the doctor. So you're hearing the doctor's voice through Yaz. So Yaz could have stayed with the child, and that's what a copper would have done. And she could have brought her through the realm later. And then it could have been Ryan and the doctor that go through, or Graham and the doctor that go through and have the emotional moment there. It feels at times that Graham and Ryan sometimes play the same role, especially in an episode like this. And that's where I feel like you're kind of waiting for the next person to have their turn in saying their dialogue.
Some people are really going to hate us saying that. But I do sometimes feel in this era that is how it goes, that you feel like the companions are waiting for their turn, especially in the way they're blocked in scenes sometimes when you see like the 3 of them like lined up in the TARDIS in a very like posed position, and then they sort of like very much take it. There's no crosstalk. There's no even like particular reacting to what the other ones are saying, because it's like they know what they're going to say. That feels a bit artificial.
Spicy
sometimes.
Thoughts on the pod today.
I don't know. And then Ryan is weirdly abrasive in this, and maybe there's a piece of context. Like if we watch,
I think his dad's left. Like again, this isn't. I'm trying to go through. I recently rewatched Dawn that Fell to Earth. I think the context wasn't that his mum died and his dad left or something, because then maybe he's bringing his own personal experience to
so maybe that's what we're also
missing
is that this is actually how he would react. But he's been quite nasty to her.
I think within episode, especially episode like this, that's a one and done, you need to have some kind of line of like, look, we know, like Yaz pulling aside, being like, look, just because your dad left doesn't mean hers has too. You have to. We need a little bit of that in this episode.
Yeah, and then there was a bit they're like, Ryan, stay here with her, will you? He's like, oh, what? Like,
no. But then Hannah goes like, no, not him,
no, not him. And I did laugh as well, like the part where where does he go? He's like, he's got to check the defenses, and he finds the speakers outside, like playing like noises, and the speakers are way too small to be making that much noise as well. And they're coming from like all directions when they're outside, like, quick, get inside. And like they're actually like two little portable speakers that should be drenched by now and not working. And he comes back upstairs and she just slams the door into his face.
I was like, did that knock him out? Like, she really just shoved that door in his face.
There are parts where, like, as well, I look at the lines that are there and what he's saying to her and the way that it's delivered, and some of it, I think, has room to be delivered a bit more colourfully. But it doesn't need to be. It's probably,
say it with your chest, baby. Say it with your chest.
It's not how I'd deliver them.
More so than delivery, there's a line that makes me laugh in this where he's just spent the whole episode like basically shit talking this girl and being like, yeah, you're making it up. And then when he's just with her, he goes, why don't you like me? And I'm like, are you a bit thick? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it just would have fit the story better if Yaz had waited with the girl. And then we had Graham and Ryan both meet the Nan. And then we have both of them we could have the tension of both of them being like, oh no, it's her. And then you could have had one of them being like, this isn't really Grace. The other one being like, don't be silly. What do you mean? This is her. Yeah. And then not only do you have the doctor trying to pull them out, but you have one of the two of them trying. And that could have been the moment where he's like, Granddad, it's not her. Oh, that could have been some good.
That could have been good. I think that's it. I felt like there was a lot of like, Hannah, it's me. I'm in the cave with you. What is this place? Right. There's a lamp over here. I'm with you now. Right. We're going to find your dad. Oh, there's flesh moths here. Oh, I'm just going to sort something out. Moves the body. Right. Carry on. It's just, I don't know. It's just quite like, I don't know. Maybe Ryan's just very brave, but I just found it just not.
I'm excited to watch more of Jodie Zero because I've seen the majority of them. There's not that many episodes I've not seen, but like Capaldi Zero, we've commented before about when we did our Capaldi episode, we kind of like shit talk it, and then when we watch more episodes recently,
exactly. Oh, I'm gonna regret exactly.
No, you're not gonna regret. It's that I think a lot of these episodes work well in the context we're in, and we very much have dived into. This is the penultimate episode of the series. Right, we dipped in,
and famously, the finale is good.
Tim Shaw's back,
girls. So yeah, it's not. Let's move on because
I'll move on to something that I really like. I really like Ellie Woolwork, who plays Hannah in this episode.
Yes.
I think that she is great. She is I had to look it up. She's an English actress because I was like, is she Norwegian?
Excellent accent.
Really good. Yeah. She's a really, really good actress. She's a really believable character, and I really feel for her. And I do want to talk for a second about how abused she must be by her father, who's left her for days.
I hate that guy.
And it's just like, oh, she's got food in the freezer. She's okay. Like, she's a teenager.
She's got the food.
I think she's like freezer. 14.
Yeah, she was a good actor. She did a TikTok a while ago, actually. She was answering some questions. She came up on my feed and she was saying like, yeah, I've seen Doctor Who. I think I realized then, like, oh, British accent, like how surprising. And she was saying like she had a great experience. Everyone on the set was really good. Everyone was very accommodating. Everyone was really chatty. Jodie was obviously lovely, which is no surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
She had a great experience on Who, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like when I look at a character like her and then the whole like, Benny, where's my Benny? Like, it's a similar predicament that they're in, that they're looking for a loved one. But it's just so, I think this episode does it so much better because I don't even necessarily think in the Benny episode they're going for humor. It's just lost in translation. Whereas with this, I just fully believe the whole time, like, this is a little girl who's lost her dad and will do anything to find him.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so unsatisfying to find the dad and be like, oh no, he's here of his own volition. He's here of his own free will. And I understand the like wanting to be with your wife, but you abandoned your daughter. Like, you've chosen your wife over your daughter. Like, you're a bad person.
He was an awful man. I'm glad that there's a part where she gets to say to him, like, he's like, I'll look after you. And she's like, no, you won't. You don't look after me. You're not well. You're mad. And that's a good confrontation. It's a shame that he gets this kind of pass, I guess, at the end. And it's like, well, now that dimension's gone and you can't see your dead wife anymore, I'm sure things will be fine over here. When, I don't know, does he really show any remorse for that situation?
No, not at all. I don't think he probably apologizes to her, but like, it's not, I genuinely think it's not. I think that it needed a line from the Doctor to be like, don't leave her like this again. Like, I understand what you've been going through and grief is or whatever. Because it took me, obviously, people were tweeting us and they were like, oh, this is a great episode about grief. And I didn't get that until we obviously got to the other world. It felt very Coraline in that way.
I haven't seen Coraline, I'm so sorry.
You've never watched Coraline?
I've not.
Okay, well, that's a Halloween movie that we'll be watching.
Yes.
But in Coraline, I can't believe that you've I'd never watched It Takes You Away, but you've never seen Coraline.
I know.
Well, there you go, everyone.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, in Coraline's not happy with the world she's currently in. Her mum's a bit of a bitch and the dad's just boring. And then there's this spooky cat that takes her through a door in her house, like a tiny little door. When she comes out, it's almost like a mirror image of her house, but everything's pretty and clean and lovely. And the mum cooks and is amazing, and the dad's fun and plays the piano. But she sees they have button eyes, and the whole thing is you have to like sew your eyes into these buttons to stay in the world. So it's kind of a similar thing where like you have to give something up to stay here.
Right.
And that was kind of what it gave me. So I understand the predicament that Eric was in with his wife being there. But
yeah, I didn't because it wasn't like he did. I think, again, there's room in these situations just to really underline that someone is not well and not thinking straight. But he seemed so with it. He was like, oh, she's fine. There's food in the freezer. Don't worry about it. Oh, and by the way, someone else in the garden now turned up when you did. And they're just very like, yeah.
But also,
about it.
Was it him or was it the wife that said that? Because if it was the wife, then that makes sense.
I think it might, to be fair, it might be
if it was the wife, that
yeah.
makes sense because they're the same being.
Yeah.
But if it was him and he's like, oh, this woman turned up at the same time as you, I'm like, you just saw them turn up.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
Something that made me laugh in this episode is the way that they just yeet the people out of the world when they're done. I think it's Yaz that goes first, and Yaz is like, this is wrong, we've got to go. And then she just puts up a hand and like shoots through the mirror.
It's like, you're spoiling it. I really liked about that as well, is that they would do it, and then they'd be like, how did they do that? And then...
Was that me?
And
the doctor's like, oh, I think you know.
I think you know. But it's nice that it builds to that point from initially, it was like, does Grace know she's not Grace?
So when Graham was talking to Grace, when he sort of found her and she was like, this is the frog necklace and this is what it means to me, and she knows everything about Grace, I sort of turned to ask her and I was like, is it Grace? Like, and you were like, I don't know.
I couldn't remember. I was like, I don't know, maybe.
Because like, it was so and I was waiting for that moment of like turning to the camera and being like, aha, I know I'm evil all along. But what I like about this episode is that it's one of those episodes where there's no evil monster. There's just a sad, lonely being who doesn't want to be by itself, and it will do whatever it can to have friends, and in doing that it will misuse the system, and it kind of gives me very like Cal Silence in the Library kind of vibes, where they're just like, I want to be with people. But you do have that inevitable moment of them turning and yeeting over, and then Graham's still there like, oh, I don't know, Doc, it could be
I don't know, Doc.
And she's like, I think you know.
It's like, I know, like, you've just seen like Yaz get yeeted through, like something's afoot here. Doc, I don't know, man. I did like that. I was really gagged by her return in this. And I thought the conversation between Grace and Graham was really lovely. And a spooky concept as well, like meeting your like loved ones you've lost on the other side. And what is it that Eric's wife says? She says like, it's like, oh, and you can't be Eric's wife, and she can't be Grace. And then she says, I know, but we are, aren't we? And it's that moment of like genuinely not knowing.
Do you know?
And like, are you? Which is great and quite scary.
What I liked about that conflict is Graham sort of says to the doctor, like, I know you don't know everything. You're learning this with us. How can you possibly tell me with certainty that that isn't Grace? How can you know? And I think that's interesting, challenging the doctor in that moment, because he's not wrong. Like, she could be wrong. It could be Grace, but she's sure that it's not. And obviously she ends up being proven right, but I thought that created an interesting conflict.
Towards the climax, where the doctor is trying to get everyone else out as quick as she can, I feel like Jodie's performance here was really stellar as well. I really, really, really liked it. And the music that goes with it is excellent as well.
This is
one of the moments, I think, where Segun's kind of understated music goes really nicely with it and very much complements the story.
I didn't really notice it until the music until this.
Yes, and I thought it was really lovely in this, and that music's building, and there's a line that I think she delivers really well, which is she's furniture with a pulse. And
that was really good.
It was quite blunt, and it was nice coming out of 13's mouth.
Yeah. Well, in that kind of moment where she's like, we have to leave immediately. Like, I don't have the... This is something that I like about the Doctor generally, is when they're like, stupid humans, I don't have the time to be nice to you right now.
Yeah.
And I think you get that obviously a lot with Capaldi, and you even get it with like David and but I don't necessarily remember, and again, I'll be proven wrong, I don't remember that as much with Jodie. And it's nice to have that moment, even if she's not, calling him pudding brain or something. It's nice to just be like, I don't have time to explain.
Yeah.
We need to do this now. You're wrong.
Yeah.
And that's good.
I like that.
I can't believe we've not spoken about the frog.
Oh my God, the frog. The frog. Well, first of all, the setting of the scene to build to this point. I did a tweet on Wholala to say that I love scenes in Doctor Who with really bright white light.
Mm-hmm.
And someone reminded us of the OG story with bright white light.
It was Evan, yeah.
And is it the caves or the
Mind Robber, isn't it?
The Mind Robber. What did I think was it? It was not the caves, was it?
The Caves of Adrazzani.
Well, I was thinking it was the Caves of Adrazzani. It's not the caves. It's the Mind Robber.
The Mind Robber. We're looking at it
It is
now.
the Mind Robber.
Well, Alice had put, it was Journey to Central TARDIS. What happened to Sarah Jane.
Yeah.
This one, yeah. And Hellbent.
Hellbent. And I just love it visually. I don't know why, it just tickles me.
They're so Cybermen-y.
I love how you have the the skeleton of the house frame still there as the set, but suddenly everything's stripped away, and it's just the frog on a chair, and it's just the silliness, but like something really like I found quite touching, like in its simplicity. Like it's the childishness of this universe that is just like, I chose a frog because I think it's lovely. Like it delighted Grace, it delights me. It's a frog.
Before I knew the frog existed before watching this, and I thought it was that like, oh no, its true form is this frog. And when it sounded like Grace, I turned to her, I was like, is that Grace's voice? And you were like, yeah. And then when they're like, Grace likes frogs, so I like frogs. And I just thought that was so fun.
I thought it was great. And also like the metaphor in there. Is it a metaphor? Do I mean a metaphor? Simile. Is it or is it? That's the difference. No, it's a simile. The Doctor says it's like a child with chickenpox.
It's a simile.
It's a simile.
We're learning on Wholala.
Otherwise the universe is a child with chickenpox.
Metaphor.
With nuclear chickenpox.
Yeah.
Which is quite sad because it is childish and it does want friends, and it's been kicked out of, the universe.
It can't help where it was born.
Or what it is.
But it just can't exist. So for its own safety, it has to be alone.
But it just wanted to kind of create and be close.
I kind of wish that if they were going to do the story ever so slightly differently, is that Hannah as a character didn't exist, and we were only following Eric, or maybe Eric didn't exist and we were only following Hannah, and Hannah's this missing girl. They come to this Norwegian town, there's a missing girl, they investigate it, go through with Mary, end up here, and they find her in this universe, and she's here with her dead mum, and she's got no friends, no family, no one back there for her. And the Doctor says, like, when Eric was there, Doctor was like, it was just about coping with Eric. And it could have been nice to be like, I've got no one there, and here I've got my mum, and have the choice of living your life with, quote unquote, your mum, or come back to a world where you're alone. And I feel like that could have created some interesting tension, because I do feel sorry for the Space Frog. It's all alone.
I feel terrible for Space Frog. I thought it was so endearing. I really did. I felt there's a moment where I can't remember what the line is, but the frog is nodding. And it pleased me. It pleased and delighted me, but also just like the frog accepting, like, I have to let you go. And the Doctor kind of talking to it like a child. It's like, I promise that we will be friends forever. And it'd be like, all right, I'll dream of you. And it just and blast it back. And I felt so sad. And then the slow pan back to this lonely frog sat on a chair, and it will never know anyone else for eternity. I just was so sad at that.
It must have been wild for this entity to have had Eric there for 12 days or 5 days?
Yeah.
Like, it was...
What a week.
What a week! What a week! I had company for a whole week.
Yeah.
I love the bit that when the Doctor's like, you don't want him. You don't want a husband. You want someone who can take you to the universe and tell you all about the universe. You want me. And then Eric's husband yeeted her through the window.
But it's even that moment of doubt where Eric's wife, wink, wink, is kind of pausing and considering, and he's like, oh, You're not. I
Yeah.
see. Okay, I didn't see it, but now I see it.
Yeah.
There's another few like fun moments in this. I really liked the Doctor referring to her 7 grannies. And having a favourite, like Granny 5 is my fave. And then Yaz is like, you were told that as a bedtime story. She's like, oh, no wonder I couldn't sleep. I thought it was quite fun. I like those like silly Doctorisms kind of chucked in there. And for me, like that's a really
head wonk.
Head wonk. Yeah, love it. I really, really liked that. Which is good fun. I
like that Hannah says it takes you away a lot. I always like in an episode
when they just say it.
When they say it, she's like, it takes you away. But it made it, I was like, oh, that's a really good reason for it to be called that.
Yes. I liked the system with ribbons of trading information for a thing. We didn't really talk about ribbons. Ribbons, I think you weren't as keen on the prosthetics, were you?
Well, I just said, my immediate thought was, have anyone seen Wizards vs. Aliens on the CBC show? It just felt very CBC at points.
Just a little bit.
But I just didn't. I think I said I just
Wasn't
didn't
stand
really
out.
see the point of it.
It was a little like generic alien face.
Yeah, I
wasn't
was
it?
just like, it's fine. It's not even the prosthetics. I just was like, I don't really see the point in being there. My note here says, Ribbons dies. Good.
Good.
Like that was
The death
that
was
a
quite
little-
good as well. Like, you know, the
Eaten by
flesh,
the moths.
the flesh moths. I really like that. I think the whole concept of an anti-zone was good. Like a buffer created to protect the universe where time and space is weak or something like that. So
Yeah.
there's a little gap in between.
Yeah.
And the idea that ribbons and flesh moths just kind of dwell in this kind of space. And
Isn't there an episode called Somewhere in Between
I don't know.
at some point?
I don't know.
It feels like this episode should be called it anyway. So
Well, yeah.
yeah.
And I also felt that I was quite Graham in that when he produces his sandwich, I thought that was really sweet. I really like Graham. And
I mean, it's true. Like, they don't eat.
they don't eat.
Yeah.
Don't eat, don't sleep, just do it on repeat, keep.
That's basically the rules of the TARDIS.
That is it.
Yeah.
And I just like that he was thinking about his blood sugar because I would need to think about that. I'd become quite grumpy.
You would need it. You need some sugar in you. When you
I
eat
don't like when I have
TARDIS.
to wait too long for my tea. It makes me a bit grumpy.
I've got a couple little things with me as well. First of all, I just can't stand moths. Like in real life, I hate moths. They fly like they're broken. Like a moth will just come and fly into your face for no reason. I hate moths. But I thought these moths were cool. I liked the line that the Doctor said when who was it? It was Yasmin. Yas was like, "You want us to follow this nutter in the dark?" And she's like, "No, I want you to follow this nutter in the dark."
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
pointed at herself.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really funny.
I really like that.
I really like that. And at the end of the day, Ryan was right when he was like, "But the dad just ran off." I'm like, "Yeah, he did."
Ryan was right. He was right. And I'm
Dick about it, but he was right.
It was nice that Ryan and Graham kind of got a little closer at the end and that Ryan recognized how much Graham loved his mum and his gran.
His gran.
His gran. I'm super sorry.
She looks so young.
She looks like I was a compliment.
Have you watched Red, White, and Royal Blue?
No.
She is the Prime Minister in it, Grace.
And does she look young there?
Yeah, she looks great.
Yeah.
She's sharing the scene with Uma Thurman.
Could be his mum. That's what I'm saying.
Could be his mum.
But that was nice. I think I agree with you though. There maybe should have been a little bit more exploration of the fact that Ryan missed out on that chance to see her.
Whether or not she was real, he got to have like a few more moments with Grace.
Than he did.
Yeah.
But he, in that, gets closer to him. I guess he understands, like, you were tempted by something really horrible in there that I didn't have to.
Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, it's an alien pretending to be your dead gran, and he's like, I'm quite glad.
But I'm probably all right having not seen that because you didn't meet her.
Yeah.
You met, like, a memory of her.
It's bittersweet. It's a bittersweet ending.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
Speaking of endings, before we get to ours, I've got a fun little game to play. I haven't played it for a few weeks.
Okay!
I'm ready for a game of Camp or Down. Now, for anyone who hasn't listened to a full episode in a while, Camp or Down is a game we like to play where we go through moments in the episode we've just watched and say whether they're camp or whether they're damp. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
A shiny tubular, camp or damp.
Shiny tubular. He was
I like how you
camp.
said it.
The shiny tubular. I thought he was really camp, and the way that Ribbons said things generally was quite camp. Another little thing I liked that when he was saying, like, "No, not me, eat the anomalies." I was like, anomalies is a good word to use for them. But in general, yes, his balloon was quite camp too.
Is it made of flesh? Is that because the moths are attracted to it? Is it because they're attracted to light, or is it because it's made of flesh?
You're right. It probably is made of flesh.
That's what
It's probably
I was
like a
thinking.
nasty detail that we catch at the end there. Yeah.
Being yeeted through the portal, Camperdown.
Like, I think so. I think especially being yeeted by a frog back into your dimension is a real corker.
It is. Well, the final one I was going to say, Frog Grace, Camperdown.
Oh, Frog Grace. I love her.
Frog Grace on an IKEA chair.
Yeah. It would be IKEA, wouldn't it?
It probably would. It's Norway,
in
not
that
Sweden.
region. Well, no, but that region. Easily shipped. You know.
Easily accessible.
Scandi design. You know, they probably have their own like nice. Yeah, I feel like the dad could have like. I feel like he probably like made chairs, didn't he? He had a lot of wood to stick on the outside of that house.
He just made his own furniture. You know what? What if in that like week he was there, not only was he company for the creature, he just made some furniture for it as well.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I've also got a few fun facts for you.
Okay.
So, when the Doctor and the companions go through the mirror, everything is reversed, and Hannah's father's Slayer t-shirt is also flipped, and the Doctor and Graham's hair partings are on opposite sides, and the Doctor uses her sonic with her left hand.
Yes, I did notice the flip. I did notice
The hair I didn't, but like
I did.
think that's such an
everyone's
interesting...
face looks a bit wonky because you know how you
see your face
when you have a picture taken of your face, you think, oh, I don't like that as much as you like, say, a selfie until it flips it, and then you're like, oh, horrible, my face looks weird. But that's how everyone else sees you all the time.
Yeah. Something that I find this is actually a funny fact. So the two Norwegian characters in this episode are called Hannah and Eric, and their father and daughter. And in the movie Hannah 2011, the characters have the same name. It's people running to the CA to rule Norway, and there's a character called Hannah and Eric. And I'm like, do people not know any other Norwegian names?
No,
just those.
Someone's Googling like most popular Norwegian baby names, and they just put that in.
Hannah and Eric.
Have we got any other fun facts?
No.
I think we both did quite well today, actually, without the cuts. Any trivia? Continuity. The thing is, if you look at TARDIS Wiki under the world building section, they sometimes put interesting things like, oh, in this one, the Doctor claims to have had 7 grandmothers. But it also says, under subheading food and beverages, Graham says he always has a cheese and pickle sandwich. And cheese is its own page, pickle is its own page, and sandwich
Can
is
you
its own
click on
page.
pickle and see where that leads us in?
Yeah, pickle.
Okay.
A pickle was a processed vegetable that Gwen Cooper ate as she found out she was pregnant with a Nostrovite egg.
How is it opening with a Wholala episode?
She kept some in a jar in her refrigerator. Refrigerator is highlighted.
Okay, where does the refrigerator lead us? Okay, after regenerating, the 11th Doctor plundered the refrigerator in Amy Pond's house while trying to figure out what foods he now liked.
You could basically...
Wait, ice has its own one. Let's see where ice takes us.
Ice was frozen water.
It was made by humans to cool the drinks.
And that links back to
Deadfall novel.
A Virgin New Adventures novel.
Well, the Wikipedia, for anyone who hasn't played the Wikipedia game before,
play it on TARDIS Wiki.
Play it on TARDIS Wiki.
I don't think it'd be that hard to get places, to be honest.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming away with us to watch It Takes You Away. I had a good time.
I had a great time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm very excited because do you know what the next episode is?
Yes.
It is.
I don't know what we're doing.
I don't really know what we're doing yet, but it is 2 things we're celebrating. Number 1, it is 2 years of Wholala. Wow. And number 2, and this is just pure coincidence that it's fallen like this. It's our 200th episode.
Woohoo!
No, that's a lie. It's our 100th episode.
Oh, so close.
Our 100th episode and our 2-year anniversary.
I was in the Apple store today trying to get an issue fixed, and it didn't fix it, and I was there for 3 hours, and I want everyone to just take away that Apple are a very greedy and evil corporation.
But thank you so much for letting us stream our podcast on Apple Podcasts.
Whatever. And then anyway, while I was there, what was I doing? Where was this going? I got distracted by how much I hate Apple. Something. What were we saying a minute ago?
About our 100th episode.
Oh yes, and then the person fixing my AirPods, well, not fixing them, said, "Oh, what are you doing there?" Because I was editing. I was there for so long.
Yeah.
That I was editing a 365 times 15 Steam remix. Now on our socials. Yeah. And also playing at Galley Cab yesterday when the episode comes out. And she said, like, oh, you're making music. I said, oh, no, I'm doing a podcast. She said, oh, what's your podcast about? And I'm always a bit embarrassed. Like, it's about Doctor Who.
What?
So I love Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who.
Okay, I'm all the doctors.
Well, I had a moment because, like, in my industry, it's the TV industry. They make Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Like, so whenever I have to tell people at work about it, I feel like I should be embarrassed.
Yeah.
But then, like, every so often we get a really cool opportunity come up, and I'm like, no, you know what? This is cool.
You know
I
what?
I'm very proud of this.
That's it.
Doctor
But this is where I was going to end. I feel like, at least now, she said, how long have you been doing that for? And I could say 2 years.
Who. Mhm.
And I thought there's a sense of legitimacy to that, in that either I'm mad or like this must be fun enough to someone that we're still doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm very proud. I love it. I love Wholala.
Yeah.
And I love you all for joining. And what
Thank you.
I would like to hear from you is your suggestions. What do you want to see from us for our 100th episode? You can reach out to us on all of our socials. It's TikTok, X, Instagram, Threads, all of which are at HulalaPod. You can email us your Doctor Who fan anecdotes, hulalapod@gmail.com, and rewatch old episodes of the podcast on our YouTube channel, also at HulalaPod.
Yes, and you can also tell us, did we make any cuts or did we not?
And
if
can you tell?
If we did, where were they? And if you enjoyed the episode, you can rate us 5 stars. You can follow us wherever you get your podcast to get notified about new episodes. You can donate on our Ko-fi, Ko-fi, and buy us a coffee if you enjoyed the pod. And you can share it with a friend.
Exactly. Oh, please do that.
Please do all the above. We'd love it if you did.
And thank you so much for listening to this episode, and we will see you next week for our 2-year anniversary and 100th episode.
Whoa, we'll see you then.
See you then. Goodbye.
Bye.